Hi Bookish Besties, my name is Brittany. This is Rescues and Reads. Thank you so much for joining me here today. If you are new, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. And if you're already subscribed, as always, I appreciate your continued support. Thank you for returning to another video. Today we are going to talk all about my booktube journey. So I recently saw Victoria from What Victoria Read do the Booktube Journey Tag. Now this is a tag that I hadn't seen anybody else do, and I believe it's fairly new. It was created in April of this year by Katie over at Books and Things. I will be sure to leave her channel as well as the original tag video and Victoria's video down below if you want to go ahead and check both of them out. But I really liked the idea and the concept of this tag because it's going to give me an opportunity to discuss from start to finish my booktube journey. And y'all know that I really enjoy these chit-chatty style videos and talking about what it's like to be a booktuber, any of the challenges that I've faced, and also the joy that it brings me on a regular basis. So I really wanted to go ahead and do this tag, and so that's what we are here to do today. There are actually quite a few questions for this tag, so we are just going to go ahead and jump right in. Question number one is, how long have you been watching Booktube? And I have been watching Booktube since 2017, and I actually discovered Booktube entirely on accident. So just to give you like a bit of context, I had never been a YouTube watcher, and I can't remember what it was that actually inspired me to start watching YouTube videos. I think it was organizational videos. I think I was on some kind of organizational kick and I wanted some inspiration. And so I started watching organizational videos on YouTube, and it eventually transitioned into watching beauty videos on YouTube. And one day I discovered this beauty YouTuber named Julie. And then I found out that she actually also had a booktube channel called Pages and Pens. I believe she has since changed the name of her booktube channel to more incorporate her author life as well. But she was essentially the very first booktube video that I ever watched, and it all kind of just spiraled from there. Now this came at a very fortuitous time actually, because 2017 was when I actually completed my undergraduate degree. My undergraduate degree actually took me quite a while to finish just because I was always working full-time while going to school, and I never really wanted my life to be just work and just school, so I was never a full-time student. I was always a part-time student, and I say all that because throughout the entirety of my undergraduate career, I really didn't read for fun. I was so buried in textbooks and writing papers and things that I could not even fathom reading for fun during this time. My concentration was shot. I had not yet discovered audiobooks, and so I went many years without hardly reading anything. I might read a couple of books a year. And so when I finished my undergraduate degree, that's when I started to be interested in reading for pleasure once again. And then so when I discovered Booktube, my bookish world just absolutely exploded, and I haven't turned back since. Question number two is, how long have you been making Booktube videos? And this is a hard question to answer because in 2019 in July is when I officially started my channel. That's when I posted my very first Booktube video. But that's not actually when I consider the start of my channel. And the reason is because I started in July of 2019 and I posted videos fairly consistently for several months, maybe about 6 months, and then I stopped altogether. I stopped for several months. I didn't come back until late 2020, and then once again I filmed consistently for a handful of months, maybe 6, 7, 8 months, I don't really know. And then in early 2021 I completely stopped altogether and ghosted my channel. I think at the time I just really didn't know how to balance Booktube and all of my other responsibilities, and I didn't feel like I had the bandwidth to make the videos and edit the videos and do everything that is required of a Booktube channel. And in all honesty, when I stopped filming in March of 2021, I kind of thought that was it. I never really imagined that I was going to come back to Booktube. And then over a year and a half later, in September of 2022, I actually had the privilege of meeting Sarah from Sarah's Nightstand in person. At the time, she was living in Virginia, and we were going to Washington, DC as part of this big epic East Coast road trip. And so since we were going to be in the area, me and my husband met Sarah and her husband in the Alexandria area. We had lunch, we toured Old Town Alexandria, we went book shopping, and it was just a lovely time. And it was kind of during that time when my desire to be back on Booktube really ramped up. I had thought about it off and on over the year and a half when I was not on Booktube because I really missed being a part of the community. And so honestly, after that point, I just kind of got a hair up my butt and decided that I was going to restart my Booktube channel, and I rebranded. And so I really consider the true start of my channel October of 2022 when I officially came back, because that is when I really started to take it seriously, and I'm very happy that I made that decision. Question number three, what made you start making videos? The short and simple answer to that is that I just wanted to be an active part of the community. You know, I didn't want to be a passive viewer of videos, and I wanted to do more than just comment on other creators' videos. I wanted to be able to increase my community of book lovers, especially since I am in a location where I don't really know very many book lovers in real life, and I just wanted to increase my bookish friends. So that's really the short and sweet answer there. Question number five, what kind of books do you like to read? And to be honest, I feel like I read quite widely. Mysteries and thrillers, I would say, are certainly the top genres. I'm also a big fan of adult contemporary contemporary, and I do read some pure romances, although not nearly as much as I do just contemporary. I'm not super big on literary fiction, but I'm getting more and more into it, and I do read the occasional literary fiction. I, of course, am also a big fantasy lover, and I really wish that I had the opportunity to read it more than I do. I've also been dipping my toes a little bit more into sci-fi. In fact, some of my favorite books that I read this year have been science fiction. I will say that I'm not really a nonfiction or a memoir person, so you will very rarely catch me reading those. I would say that probably the one category, not necessarily genre, because this category can encompass multiple genres as well, but the one category of things that I don't really prefer to read are comics, mangas, graphic novels. I really don't prefer to read those, but for the most part, I feel like you can find just about a little bit of everything on my channel. Oh, I actually skipped a question. Question number 4. Are there any people who have played a significant role in your booktube journey? The first and main person that comes to mind is obviously Sarah from Sarah's Nightstand. I swear I pretty much mention Sarah in every single one of my videos, but I have been watching Sarah since I started watching booktube videos. I'm pretty sure I started watching her in 2017, but any of the booktubers that I was watching back in the day, I feel like really inspired me. One of the main ones also that I can think of, and unfortunately she doesn't make content anymore and nobody has really heard from her and we don't know what's going on and we hope that she's okay, is Chelsea from Chelsea Palmer. She's another one that I started watching in 2017 and I just loved her energy, her vibe, her channel, the books that she read. I was actually a part of her Patreon for the entire time that she had it, and then one day she just stopped. She stopped creating content, she stopped posting in her Patreon, she stopped doing absolutely anything, and nobody could reach her and nobody could contact her, and we haven't heard a word since then. And at this point I think it's going on 2 to 3 years, but she definitely did have an impact on me and my booktube journey. And like I said, any of the earlier booktubers that I watched, and even now the booktubers that I do continue to watch and that I continue to make friends with and build a community and relationships with, they all have an impact on my booktube journey. They all inspire me. And then all of you. I don't think that I would be as willing to come on here and create booktube videos if I wasn't able to build a community with y'all. So that is really, really important to me. And y'all are definitely a huge part of my booktube journey. Question number 6. How has that changed since starting on booktube? So I would say the biggest change since starting on booktube is that I pretty much read zero YA anymore. When I started my booktube channel, even in 2022, I was still reading quite a lot of YA. I was slowly moving away from it because I was realizing that it wasn't giving me the substance that I was looking for. But now in 2024, I read almost none. There are still some YA that really surprise me that I'm really interested in, and I will continue to read from those authors. But in general, I have moved entirely away from YA. I have also read a lot of books that I otherwise wouldn't have if it hadn't been for booktube, and some of them have become new favorites. They have really surprised me. So the breadth of what I read has definitely expanded, even though I have almost entirely eliminated YA from what I read. I'm reading a lot more books that I normally would not have, and a lot more books are on my radar that wouldn't normally have been on my radar. I am definitely reading a lot more fantasy than I ever used to. My love of fantasy has definitely built over the past several years. I went from not loving fantasy or wanting to read fantasy at all in 2016, 2017 to considering it one of my favorite genres, even though it's not something that I can read as often as I want to. So I would say that my comfort zone has certainly expanded since starting on booktube. Question number 7. What kind of videos do you like to make? I've talked about this before, but I am truly here for the classic booktube content. That is the kind of content that I like to watch, and that is the content that I like to make. I do also really love to make and watch vlogs. I do also really like to see some of the fun, creative projects that a lot of booktubers come up with. Those are some of my favorites, such as like Becca's Shelve It or Scrap It and things of that nature. I love seeing new projects, and those inspire me on my channel as well. I do occasionally love some wacky, entertaining one-off videos, but I've said this before, those are not why I come to booktube. They might be entertaining in the moment, but I do not necessarily find them informative or substantial. I'm not learning anything from them. You know, I want my channel to be a combination of informative and entertaining and useful to everybody. Well, I'm very interested in being part of like fun collaborations and wacky video ideas. That's not going to be the bulk of what you find on my channel. Question number 8. How has that changed since being on booktube? Do you think your video making style has changed over time? It has definitely changed in terms of the quality of my videos. I mean, just this year alone, I decided to invest in an actual big girl camera. So I am no longer filming on my phone, and I do feel like that's made a world of difference. I do want to just kind of put it out there, even though this is aside from the tag. If you are interested in starting a booktube channel and all you have is your smartphone, absolutely go for it. Do not feel like you need a camera in order to start a channel. But like I said, I did invest in the camera, and I feel like that's made all the difference. I do have studio lights surrounding me because the lighting in this office is very inconsistent. I've also definitely tried to up my editing game. I would still say that my editing overall is very, very basic. There's nothing really fancy or fun about the way that I edit videos, but I have very much improved the way that I'm able to edit, how quickly I'm able to edit, how tightly I'm able to edit. So there have definitely been a lot of improvements to my channel and the way that I film. I wouldn't necessarily say there have been too many differences in what I film because like I said, I really enjoy the classic booktube content, and I don't necessarily think that is ever going to change. I am always open to new ideas and new feedback. So if there's anything that you ever want to see from me, you are always welcome to leave that down in in the comments below and I will take it into consideration. For the most part, I'm very much interested in the classic booktube content. Question number 9, do you script and or edit your videos? And has that changed over time? So I actually just kind of touched upon that with the previous question, but yes, I absolutely edit my videos. I heavily edit my videos because I would say half of the time I'm filming, it is all mistakes, and that's just part of my process. You know what I mean? I come on here and I talk to a camera and I make a lot of mistakes, especially because I feel like my mouth is moving faster than my brain. And my videos are never entirely scripted. If I do have a chit-chatty / discussion video, or if I have a really important video that I'm filming that has a lot of information that needs to be included, I will make notes on talking points that I want to cover in those videos, but almost nothing is scripted. And I feel like that is very evident, especially when you're watching my videos. Like sometimes it will feel like one thought is not leading into another. And that is just because I might have gone onto a complete tangent and have cut out a huge portion of the video and have tried to piece it together to make sense. You know what I mean? And so could I definitely avoid a lot of that if I scripted it? Sure, but I want this to be as authentic and transparent as possible. That is also something that I have mentioned before. I want to be a really transparent, honest, and reliable booktuber. I don't really want to be fake about it. That's another reason why you're not going to really find super aesthetic content on here or anything. So I definitely do edit my videos and I do try to edit them well, but I don't ever really script my videos. Question number 10 is, what is the most viewed video on your channel? Now, the majority of the videos that I made prior to coming back in 2022 have completely been removed from my channel, except for the video that I made in 2020 introducing the TBR game that I still play. And to this day, that is still the video that has the most views at just over 3,000. But a video that I made recently, several weeks ago, a chit-chatty video talking about whether or not booktube is dying, that is actually quickly catching up on the TBR video. It's got just over 2,300 views. So if that continues to get views, that will eventually surpass the TBR video. Question number 11, what's your favorite video that you've ever made? This is a tough one for me. I would say my favorite videos are always like my Slayer Fest announcement videos. Every single time I make a new announcement for that, those are usually my favorites. I always love the chatty discussion videos that I made. So that one that I mentioned about whether or not booktube is dying, or the one that I talked about recently about my booktube experience. And of course, I always do love talking about like the book of the month predictions and playing my TBR game. Those are some of my favorites as well. Question number 12, do you have a favorite book that you read because of booktube? And I have plenty. I have plenty of books that have become favorites, and I wouldn't have known about them if it hadn't been for booktube. The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo is definitely one. The Nevernight Chronicles by Jay Kristoff. I read Ready Player One this year because of one of y'all's recommendations, and it's one of my favorites of the year, and that was a complete and total surprise to me. That was never a book that was on my radar to read. I'm super late to the game on that one, but it completely blew me away with the audiobook experience. Same thing with Assistant to the Villain. That was never on my radar to pick up, and I absolutely adored it. So I feel like I pick up several books a year that I'm purely influenced to pick up because of booktube, and they end up turning out to be some of my favorites. So I definitely get a lot of really solid recommendations from booktube. Question number 13, do you have a favorite booktube experience to tell us about? So I don't want to keep mentioning the time that I met up with Sarah, although that was a pretty surreal experience, you know, getting to meet one of my favorite booktubers turned friends in real life. That was a really an amazing thing for me. But I would say one of the most amazing experiences in recent memory was being asked to help moderate the Amazing Readathon. That is a month-long competitive team-based readathon that is hosted by Brie over at Four Paws in a Book, and she so very kindly asked me to help moderate because that readathon has grown exponentially since its debut in 2023, and I had a great time with it. I loved getting to be a part of a lot of the behind the scenes things that we're talking about. It was such an amazing time. I felt like I made a lot of new friends during that experience. I loved being a representative of Team Spooky and helping to moderate that group chat. I felt like it helped grow my community exponentially, and I just had the best time doing it. So that is probably the one that sticks out in recent memory. Question number 14, what does your book collection look like? Well, you can see a lot of it behind me. So on this wall here, I have 3 full Billy bookcases as well as 2 half Billy bookcases, and it takes up the entire row, and all of these shelves are almost completely full. If I can manage it, I do plan on doing a full library and bookshelf tour for Bookmas, so stay tuned for that. But yes, this is all full. And then over here, I have a 2x2 cube from IKEA that houses my Harry Potter collection. So all of the different Harry Potter editions, the collectibles, and things like that. And then over here, which you cannot see, that's actually all Funko Pops. So it's not books, but my Funko Pop collection is all over here, and you will get an opportunity to see that in that video. And then the final question, number 15, is what advice would you give to new people starting a booktube channel? So I'm going to try to avoid the standard advice of just do it. I feel like that's what everybody would say to a new booktuber. And to be honest, that's great advice because I feel like the fear of it is going to stop a lot of people. And sometimes you just need to build the momentum. Sometimes you just need to sit down, push record, and film the video, get your first taste of editing and uploading and all of that stuff to realize that it's not so scary and it's completely doable. That is by far the best piece of advice that I could possibly give you. However, I do want to give you some more practical pieces of advice that you could put into play when you are going to sit down and film that booktube video. So I would very much recommend that your very first booktube video be something that is currently popular in the booktube community. For example, if you are going to start your channel in the middle of the year, make your first booktube channel the mid-year book freakout tag. You could, of course, always do the staple booktube newbie tag. There is no wrong in that, and I know a lot of people decide to start their channel that way, but the mid-year book freakout tag is certainly a popular one, and there are all kinds of very popular video ideas that are going around these days that are getting a lot of attention from people regardless of whether or not they subscribe to your channel. So if you can find something like that to start your channel with, that would absolutely be my recommendation. I would also recommend making sure that when you sit down to film, you are sitting down to film in a quiet location without a lot of background noise, that you are sitting in a location with good lighting, because nobody really wants to watch a video that has poor lighting, that's maybe yellowish, kind of grimy, and things like that. So if you can film your first video in front of a window, that would probably be best. And I would also recommend when you're editing your videos that you are taking the time to really figure out the editing process, and you are taking the time to edit out your long pauses, that you are taking time to edit out any of the verbalized pauses like ums and likes, that you are removing as many mistakes as possible, because what this does is it creates a more seamless, streamlined viewing experience. You know what I mean? It makes it a lot more palatable to watch the video. And there were definitely things that I had to learn as I went, right? I didn't always know how to put a picture up in my videos. I didn't always know how to do a video within a video. I didn't always know how to add text into my videos or anything like that. So a lot of it is a learning curve, and we're all here to help you with that. Don't be afraid to ask questions. And I would also recommend just being an active member of the booktube community. So when somebody comments on your video, make sure that you are responding or reacting. Make sure that you are also commenting and engaging yourself with your favorite booktubers, because that definitely helps them. It shows the love, and it tells the YouTube algorithm that you like their content and you want to see more of their content. I did actually make an entire video dedicated to some of my advice for baby booktubers, and I will try to remember to leave it linked down below in case you want to take a look and get some more information. And then question number 16 is just to tag some people. Like I said, this tag is fairly new, so I'm pretty sure that there are quite a few people that haven't done it. So I'm just going to tag a few, and if you've already done it, please ignore me. Or if I don't tag you, but you have a booktube channel and you want to make this video, please consider yourself tagged. I'm going to tag Aoife from Pretty Purple Polka Dots, Leandra from Leandra the TBR Zero, Maddie from This Bookish Cottage, Bree from Four Paws in a Book, Heather from Books and Heather, and Amy from A Star Reads. I would love to see you all do this video and talk about your booktube journey. All right, everybody, and that is it. That is all about my booktube journey. If you've made it to the end of this video and you are not feeling chatty, go ahead and leave me the YouTube logo emoji if there is one. If not, go ahead and leave me just a book stack emoji in honor of booktube. And as always, if you like this video or if you just like me, please be sure to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. I typically post 2 videos a week, one on Wednesdays, one on Sundays, and I would love to connect with you in any of those featured videos or on any of my other social media platforms, which you can always find linked down below along with any books featured in the video. Until next time, y'all.